Stitcher, back for a stitching update video. If you are new, welcome. If you are a returning viewer and subscriber, thank you for coming back to spend some time with me. My last video update was my whip parade, and I had a huge increase in views and subscriptions, and lo and behold, Vonna, the Twisted Stitcher, who is one of my favorite floss tubers and needleworkers, gave me a shout out in her last video. So thank you very much, Vonna. And if you are here because of Vonna, thank you, and I hope you stick around. And if you are here and have never heard of Vonna, I highly recommend you check out her channel. I will link it below. Vonna is an extremely creative and talented needleworker. You have seen her works even if you are unaware of it, because she does do a lot of the finishing and stitching for the patterns that you see. And she also is a regular contributor to the Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine, which is a great magazine if you like the primitive style of needlework. I don't punch needle yet. I'm getting tempted because there are some really neat designs in there, but even just for cross stitching, it's a great magazine. As I was editing my whip parade, I felt myself starting to come down with a cold, and I was thinking like, oh, no, I don't want a cold. My kids all had one, but I was convinced I was going to be able to beat it. But lo and behold, I came down with a cold, and it was kind of a nasty cold. I'm at the tail end of it. But I'm still very nasally, and if there are some kind of odd breaks between the video because of the editing, it's because I was sneezing, coughing, and took that out, so you didn't need to see it. Just to give you a little bit of a fair warning there. So I'm going to try to make this kind of short and sweet, and probably keep editing to a minimum so I can get it up. I have done a lot of stitching because I wasn't feeling well. I kind of just hunkered down and watched Floss Tube and stitched, and I did quite a bit of stitching, and it was nice to be able to sit and stitch. I don't get that opportunity very often. I prefer not to be sick to have that opportunity, but sometimes you take what you can get. The first thing I wanted to show is one of my old finishes. I have been trying to show a finish each video. Instead of doing a finish parade, I have quite a few things I've stitched over the years. This week, I'm going to show one of my favorite finishes. Let's see if I can show without too much glare. This is Matter's Choice, and this is by Carriage House Samplings. I'm showing this because I was looking through an Instagram of somebody who started watching my videos and following me. Her name is Cindy Stitches on Instagram, and she just recently completed Matter's Choice. And this is probably one of my very favorite projects I ever finished. It was just a lot of fun to stitch. It's an older pattern. It's by Carriage House Samplings. And recently, over the last year or so, a lot of people have been stitching it on Floss Tube. I stitched this with the called for linen, which was a lakeside linen 40 count. I think it was, I wrote it down, autumn gold was the color, and I used the needlepoint silk. I'm not entirely sure if I used the color of needlepoint silk it called for, or if I picked something out. This color is showing pretty true. It's pretty much like a DMC 939, like a deep blue, and that's the color I used. And this, like I said, this was so much fun to stitch, and I just really love this pattern, this finish. So it's one of those I got framed right away and has been hanging in our home ever since. I will say I'm a bit of a floss miser. I constantly play thread chicken, and I had barely enough thread left for that. I used 2 skeins of needlepoint silk. So if you were thinking of stitching that, I would err on the more generous side of floss than what it calls for. a funny story about that. I was coming down to the end and I had like 3 strands of floss left. And it was late. I actually brought it up to bed and I'm trying to finish it. I had very little left. My husband's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to finish this. I'm like, I have barely any thread left. And I'm like stitching fast there. And he looks at me, he goes, you know, if you stitch faster, it doesn't use any less floss. And we just found that really funny. And it's kind of been a joke with my cross stitch group. At the time, we were, you know, anytime you're running low on thread, we'd say, make sure you stitch a little faster, you use a little bit less thread. So, but it does not save thread if you stitch faster. But for that pattern, it's one of those that I would buy a little bit more than what you think you will need, because like I said, I regularly go down to the length on my petite needle for floss, and I reuse bits if I pull it out, if it's not too mangled, and I barely had enough floss for that. But so Cindy Stitches, that was my Matters choice, and I love that piece, and it's still available. So let's talk whips. Like I said, I stitched a lot over the past week. This isn't going to be in any particular order, just what my pile is. So first thing is the Linens and Things 2019 Mystery Stitch Along. And this is January and February's part. March's part was released as well. And I did not do February, I didn't do the grid. March is inside this block right here. So what I'm going to do is work myself up to that corner for the time being. I was working on this last night while my daughter was at theater, and I didn't finish the peacock because I left that part of the pattern at home. So I started on the framework. And this is what I have. I'm undecided about that purple. Let me know what you think, if you love it or hate it. It's 38.34 DMC. My thought process is that I'm going to do the inside of the blocks with this blue 3808 and probably one other complementary blue, and just do the grid with that purple. I tend to stick with darker colors, like very much like dark blues, cranberries, blacks. So this is out on a limb for me to go with the jewel tones, but it's a peacock. So I figured it'd be kind of fun and maybe play with the colors a little bit. So I'll probably do a little bit more of that framework today, and I'll maybe update on Instagram, and you can let me know what you think. So my Instagram account is Gables Stitcher, and I will link that on the bottom too. All right, so that was one thing I worked on, not much on that. The next thing I worked on, I actually worked on this quite a bit this weekend. This is my Heaven and Earth Designs. I don't have a good picture of it, so I'll insert it here. I did most of this area here. So this is tapestry, and you can really see it. It's the lady in the unicorn tapestry, the one that's in the Gryffindor common room in the Harry Potter movies. I forget the actual technical name of it, but I probably did about 1,200 stitches in here, and it's really coming along. When I was editing my whip parade and I was watching the video about this project, I was thinking that I really wanted to get another page finish on this project, the not so distant future. And so right here is the bottom of a page. So here up is what's left of page 2. So, I got most of that done this weekend. we'll see. I kind of want to try to put in a few hundred stitches here and there to see if I can get that page done. Maybe this month. It's kind of probably a crazy goal, but when I was on my cold venison and watching Floss tube and stitching, it sounded like a good idea. We'll see. I enjoyed it. The thing about working on a full coverage piece for me is that I need to be in the mood for it. And it's not something I find I can pick up after months at a time of putting it down. It takes me a while to get back into it. But once I'm working on it, I can pick it up for 10 to 15 minutes a day and put in, 50 to 100 stitches without it taking forever. So seeing I just picked that up, I would like to work on that again. I was able to use it for some of the extra credit in the Facebook group, School of Magical Stitches and Literature. So it was kind of nice to, have a goal in mind of a certain number of stitches to finish it. So the next piece is the Modern Folk Embroidery 2018 Sal. So I picked this up this weekend as well, the end of last week. And I did a good amount. So I finished January and February and started in on March. So hold this up here. So February ended right about here. So everything over is March. And this is so much fun to stitch. I really, really enjoy this. This is available on the Modern Folk Embroidery website, and you can actually purchase it now as the whole design, not the individual months. So, so this is with DMC, and it's on Newcastle 40, Antique White, Zweigart. I'm using 3802. So I really enjoyed working on that. And I also had a crazy thought while working on that. I finished February, started in March. Maybe I can keep up with it and finish it in 2019 because I didn't start it until May or June of last year, and I only did about a month and a half. But now I'm caught up in sync and just, a year behind. But we'll see. Like I said, cold meds. The last thing I worked on was Spooky Countdown by The Primitive Hair. I've been trying to do a block a weekend on this, so I was a little bit behind. And wanted to catch up. So, and I need to do 5 blocks this month because March has 5 weekends. So, I am doing this on an MGC Textiles 32 count linen that I coffee and tea dyed. And hold it up. And here I am now. So when I show this in my whip parade, top row is done, and I had done the cauldron, half of the books. So I did block 9 and block 10, and I did a little bit of a switcheroo here. I said I needed to put the House of Seven Gables in, so block 7 and 8 I switched, and this book is supposed to say potions, but instead it says H7G for House of the Seven Gables. And block 10, the Witch's Hat, it is supposed to have a buckle on it, and I made the band purple instead of orange, and I put a little purple in here. I couldn't put the buckle on the hat. Buckles are so... Now this is like, I was texting with one of my good Gables friends last night, Celeste. So buckles are so the like Hollywood, they're not historically accurate. Puritans and Pilgrims did not wear buckles on their hats or on their shoes. Some movie producer in the 1950s did a movie and put buckles on hats and shoes for pilgrims, and ever since then, every single picture has buckles on, hats and shoes. They didn't wear buckles on their hats and shoes. My little historical tour guide rant here. I mean, they had iron, and iron was thick and heavy. Like, they weren't putting it on their shoes or on their hats. So I had to take the buckle out, and the hat doesn't look quite as good without the buckle. Like, I feel like I might need to do something with that block, but I could not put the buckle on it. So I was telling Celeste, I'm like, I can't do it. Like, it's not historically accurate. But then, in the second, like right after that, I tell her, oh, but block 11 is actually a goblin. So, I mean, block 11 isn't historically accurate either. But buckles on hats and shoes is kind of one of my historical pet peeves. But I'm really happy with how that's turning out. I'm back up to date. I'm very tempted to continue stitching on that. I put it away at about 10 o'clock last night, but I should work on some other things. So we're gonna put that away for now until next weekend. So I have 3 more blocks to do this month. I also got 2 finishes this week. Not bad. So first finish, my oldest whip, 1987, lives in this house no longer. So it is done. I was putting this away after my whip parade, and I'm like, I am not putting this away. I have like 100 stitches left on it. So I had half of the house left. Now, I haven't finished this for 30 years because I ran out of DMC back in 1987, and then I figured I would never find the right color. It's the same. It's exactly the same. Like, sometimes I buy a skein of floss, and then a week later you go buy the same color and it's completely different. This is 30 years later, and the dye lot did not change because half of the roof is, this half is last week, this half is 1987. So, and then I signed it down here. I'm like, I gotta do something. So I wrote 1987 to 2019, and my old initials and my married initials. So yeah, finally finished it. So no longer stitching in 1987 in this house. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do with this. I was thinking I'd make a pillow. I need to watch some of Anna's tutorials because I'm a little bit afraid of my sewing machine, but we'll see. I'm glad it's done. So, all done. Oldest whip. That brings me back. That brings me to 1990s for the next whip. Okay, and I finished this. I want to say Monday is Prairie Schooler, The Witching Hour. It's book number 200. And this was a lot of fun to stitch. This was my travel project for a lot of the time. I started this in October of 2018. I started stitching it actually while I was watching baseball playoffs. And as I'm a Red Sox fan, there was a lot of playoffs to watch this year. And then I took this with me and trying to, So that is done. I used all the called for threads in this. There's only 4 DMC colors. I will say for this one, this pattern eats up 3371, which is the Prairie Schooler brown. They like to use that dark brown. I used 2 skeins, and I had nothing left of those 2 skeins. So I'm pretty much, like I said, a thread miser, but I could have lost a little bit here and there because, like I said, this was my travel project, so could have lost a little bit. But there was a lot. Like you definitely need 2 skeins. So I love this. Like this was just so much fun to stitch. I have a few more Prairie School or Halloweens. I'm really tempted just to pull one out and to start working on it, to put it in for a travel piece. So there really wasn't anything I didn't like about this. It was a lot of fun to stitch. It is on a 32 cream Belfast linen. It was just a scrap that was in my stash. I plan on finishing it kind of a little bit Priscilla and Chelsea. I want to put it on a mat board and put some fabric backing on it. And I have a Halloween sign that this will look really good hanging from. So that's my plan. I think I'm going to need to wait to fully finish it until Halloween gets a little closer. I'll go to Joann's to see what they have for Halloween fabric, but it's kind of the wrong time of year. Regardless, it's done. So very happy about that. So that brings me down to 35 whips. I was 37 on my whip braid, and I finished 2. So that's not bad. I have 3 finishes so far this year. My pie in the sky goal is to have a finish a month. Technically, I finished 1987 in February, and I finished Prairie School this month, but I'm not opposed to having another finish this month. We'll see what happens. So that brings us to plans. I have a few things I want to stitch this month. One is I'm feeling a little bit more Halloween, a little more Halloween in my life. So I'm going to pull this out. One of the monthly extra credit challenges on School of Magical Stitches and Literature is to stitch 500 stitches in 301 because Sirius Black appears in that book. So 301 DMC Black. And I've kind of been feeling the urge to pull this out recently anyways. So I started this in October too. Started 3 things in October this year. I started Spooky Countdown, the Prairie School of Witching Hour, and this one here. And this one I obviously haven't done as much with, but it is enjoyable. I do really enjoy it. So I want to work on my peacock some more, Percy. I would like to finish the framework and the March block. Figure I can work my way up there, do March, and then go back and finish the framework. Tiles everywhere here. Put that there. Okay. My other monthly, trying to keep up with 1 block a month, is Satsuma Street, 12 Days of Christmas. I am working on this with Lissa from Alpha's Stitchery. We started in September to do 1 block a month. I haven't worked on this since my whip parade, but I figured I would grab it to show. So I have done the first 5 blocks. This is a lot of fun to work on. However, this is one of those projects that's really deceiving because it takes a lot longer to do these blocks than I thought it would because there's so many color changes. So technically I should be doing block 7 this month because we started in September. I am behind a block. So I did 3 blocks last month because I was really behind. So I figure I could probably do 2 blocks this month. I would like to catch up. This is on 28 count white Monaco. Haven't really been great talking about my fabrics. The Witches of Salem is on a 32 count Zweigart Belfast linen, and it's one that I coffee and tea dyed myself. It was just the linen you can get at Hobby Lobby in their package. So blocks 5 and 6 are kind of big, but I think I can do both of them this month because they have a lot of solid stitching in them. There aren't a lot of color, not as many color changes as the last 2 blocks. So we'll see. I'll work on it and we'll see how far we get. All right, just piling things up around me. So another thing I would like to work on this month is Hogsmeade by Country Magic Stitch. I'll insert a picture here. And this is where I am. Did not work on this at all in February. And I really, really enjoy working on this piece. So I might work on this today. I find this a very soothing and relaxing piece to work on. And I'm not a full coverage girl, but I find this very relaxing to work on. So this is on 16 count Aida. So almost about, like I said, I've said that arrow is the halfway point. So really enjoy that. So I'd like to work on that. Hogsmeade by Country Magic Stitch on Etsy. And the last thing that I really want to work on this month, now that 1987 is gone, except in music in this house, I have the one whip left from the 1990s. Does everyone know that? I don't know what date this is. The date's on here, 1996. So, and that's probably when I got it, thinking about it. Originally published in 1992, and it's a second printing, 1996. So one of the challenges, extra credit challenges in the School of Magical Stitches and Literature is 500 stitches on a project from 1990s or before, or reproduction sampler. I have a ton of reproduction samplers, but how great would it be to finish this? It'd be really cool. So I think I have probably about 500 stitches left, especially because I'll back stitch this quilt like I did the others. Yeah, I don't know what I'll do with it when I finish it, but I would like to finish it. Once I finish this, all my whips are from the current century. So that would be a nice feeling to have, to say I have no whips from the last century. And I know that some people who were watching this were like, I was 3 years old in 1987. I wasn't. So, but I would like to finish it. So that is my plans. So a little bit of, talk a little bit about a few of the things I've bought recently, a little bit of haul, not a ton. I did buy some things that are going to be delivered though, probably next week. So next video I'll have a couple of things. Market is very tempting. Try not to look too much at the market stuff because I really don't need anything. So one thing, I belong to Victorian Motto Floss Club, Nancy Turner. I recently changed to all prims. So people have been showing these. These came in before the Whip Parade. So these are old, but hanging around for a while. But show them. Her colors are beautiful. If you're looking for an overdyed floss club to join, hers is a good one. She gives you a lot of floss. You could even split it with a friend. See the other set. Really pretty. And I had been doing fabric from Color and Cotton every month, their fabric club. But I decided to try Nancy's fabric. Nancy does a fabric club as well. So this was my first month with Nancy. I let my color cotton one go. And this is a gorgeous color fabric. I should give it a name. It's a little washed out. So we can hold it up against something. Yeah, it's better. It's a nice buttery springy yellow. Really pretty. So I am alternating colors with her. Counts. So I like to stitch in high count fabric. So she's going to send me 40 count one month and 46 count the next month. So this is 40 count. In March, I'll be getting 46. So I'm very excited about that. And yeah, it's nice. It's a Zweigart. I'm a Zweigart girl. So that is my February Nancy subscription. And my other purchase is from a friend of mine who lives in Germany. Her name is June, and she has a small Etsy sewing online store. I will put the link below. It's by So Like June, B-U-Y. And my husband and I are horrible about buying each other Christmas gifts. We're married for, 19 years. So a lot of times now we get each other something small, and then it's, buy yourself something you like. So I have a weakness for bags. And June makes this gorgeous bag called a Sew Together bag. And so it's zipped up. It's like a triangle. When you open it, it has all these nice compartments inside. So you can put floss in there, your scissors, colored pencils, doolalies, anything, all your little stitching tools. So I've held off using it because on FlossTube you need to show it before you use it, but it's gorgeous. I can't wait to use it June. So this is my Sew Together bag. So Merry Christmas to me. I plan on using that, and it folds up, nice and compact. So nice to keep next to you while you're doing your stitching. And then she also sells these little pouches. A lot of times I pull the floss for each project and I put it in my bag, but my plan is to put it in these bags in my bag. So that way it doesn't get all gumbled up. So bought a few of them. One of them was little books. How cute is this? This made me think of Mary Poppins. I don't know why. There's only 2 kids in Mary Poppins, right? Jane and Michael, but maybe it's because of the umbrella. Then Jane Austen fabric. How cool is that? And the inside is Jane Austen quotes. So I will put the link for that below as I'm looking and trying to read this. I think it's Emma quote on the inside. All right. So my other haul was 2 of the British cross stitch magazines. I got Ultimate Cross Stitch Fairies. So I got the Ultimate Christmas one. I really liked it. So when I saw this one, I got it, and there aren't as many in this one I'd like to stitch, but there's a couple. This one I really love. Evening Fairies. So there's some, I'm not going to do a flip through, but there are a lot of cute designs on here. So, and I also got the current Cross Stitch Crazy magazine. Got this for 2 reasons. One is I have a relatively new nephew, and I like to stitch him a birth sampler. and I really like this birth sampler. This is Adventure Weights. But then when I looked at it on the inside, I didn't like it as much. I felt like it was kind of rough looking. So I don't know. I'm up on the fence, on the fence for that. So we'll see. And the other reason I got it was the little, I always have these 50 gift ideas. I love the Egyptian ones. So they're just little ones, but I love ancient Egypt. So I thought some of those would be fun to stitch. And this is a nice pattern too. I don't know if I'd stitch it. I really like it though. It's not really my style, but I don't know, something about it that just I like. And a little bit of what I'm all into. Because I have been sick, I've been drinking a lot of tea, and my husband jokes that I have all the tea in China, which I kind of do. I have quite a tea collection, but I did buy some new tea recently that I really, really like. So I was at a friend's house over Christmas, and she had the Harney and Sons hot cinnamon spice tea, and she had it in bags. They sell it at Target. It's like in an orange tin. It's on the top shelf, the tea section, and it's kind of expensive. It's like $5 something for 20 bags, but the tea is really, really good. I like tea bags, but I also like loose tea. I drink loose tea a lot. I tend to not like decaffeinated tea, but I tend to use my tea leaves for more than one cup, so most of the caffeine is gone in the first brew. So this one is so good. You can get it on Amazon, but also Harney and Sons has a website and they do free ground shipping. So I ended up buying it from the website. Open it up and I'll show you what it looks like. It's a black tea, but it has like, I don't know, it's like cinnamon and orange. It's so good. And the other one I got that I really like is called Victorian London Fog. And it's kind of like an Earl Grey. So, but I think it has something, Earl Grey has bergamot in it, which this has. This has a little lavender and vanilla too. And I don't think Earl Grey has lavender and vanilla. It's not a strong flavor of lavender, a little bit of a stronger flavor of vanilla, but it's really a nice tea. So I was binging on Victoria while I was sick, and I was drinking my Victorian London Fog tea. So if you like tea, like loose tea, these are my two favorites. And if you haven't tried loose tea, give it a try. I don't like tea balls. If you can get yourself a tea strainer, like the bigger the better to fit in your cup so the tea leaves can really expand. You're going to get a really nice flavor of tea. So don't be afraid of loose tea. It's really good. And one other thing I wanted to show, I was getting stuff out for the video, and I wanted to show how I organize my over-dye flosses. I saw this on somebody else's floss tube, so this is not my idea. I want to say it was maybe Nell from Little Yellow House Crafts about how to organize over-dye floss. I'm a bobbinator when it comes to DMC, but with the over-dyes, like, it's hard to, you want to try to substitute in. So I got these snapwares, and what I did is I kind of just color sorted. So I like browns and oranges. Some more reds and oranges. Purples, purple. It's very like neutrals and yellows. blues and grays, and lots of greens. So trying this, it's worked well. It keeps everything together, and if you want to sub a pattern out, you know, you can just kind of look and find your colorway and go from there. So, and they store compactly. I think you're probably going to need one more. I don't really need one more full container, but I feel like I need 2 more boxes. So let's see what I find. I got these at Joann's, 40% off coupon. But I use these to store my Christmas ornaments too. Like, they're great. I put the little flat Christmas ornaments in them, and then I have bigger ones for the big ornaments. So I am not great about subbing out floss. I want to get better about it, and I was going through my closet, and I found this pattern, Phoebe's Forest. It's by the City Stitcher, and I love this pattern. Part of it is because I have a daughter, Phoebe, though she points out she's not the same Phoebe because she spells her name differently, but I've just always really liked this pattern. And I was thinking this would be a really good one to sub out overdyes on because all the greens and browns. So I might try to come up with the substitutions for the DMC and a conversion, and maybe do a floss toss and post some pictures on Instagram to see what people think. So I don't want to, I do want to start something, but I don't want to start something. I want to get a few more finishes, because when I was doing my whip parade, I was thinking, oh, I have so many nice things I want to stitch on, but I have a lot of nice things that I would like to stitch as well. So this isn't a huge chart. It is 171 by 177. Well, it's not small either, but I don't know. We'll see. I was just, when I was pulling up the floss, I saw it, and I thought I'd bring it out. So that's it for today. I am sorry if this is all discombobulated. Like I said, I'm still kind of recovering from my cold, and I'm going to edit this together. Probably not do a ton of huge editing, but just kind of edit it together. So I apologize for all the breaks that were in there. Thank you very much for watching and spending time with me. And please feel free to subscribe and follow me on Instagram. I'll put the link below. It's the same, Gables Stitcher. And until next time, be kind to each other and have fun stitching. Thank you. Bye.